So, once again, everyone, welcome and greetings. Thank you for coming to my Swarm of the Century. How are you enjoying HarmonyCon 2025? Just think we're halfway through this decade, and what a ride it's been already. But I'm glad to be here at HarmonyCon because it gives a chance to have some very positive memories and experiences, and I'm hoping I can contribute as such here as we talk about a season 1 episode. I don't get to do this a lot. I usually get to talk about it at conventions. It's become my special thing, my happy place. And this one is a special kind of story because it gave us some pretty darn special memes and what I consider to be one of the funniest moments in the entire show. So, without further delay, let's dive in. We begin with a giant butterfly trying to eat Fluttershy's brain. This is where perspective is important, everyone. And I saw this screenshot, I was like, yep, that one's going in there. But no, she's hard at work gathering things for a very special occasion.
La 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 la.
And getting her inner Disney princess on. So, what is she doing with all this? Well, first of all, she's encountering...
But remember, these flowers are for Princess Celestia. Only the prettiest ones will do.
Don't worry, Mr. Squirrel. It happens to lots of guys. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I ain't explaining it. But either way, Fluttershy's getting her Disney princess on. She's trying to gather the prettiest flowers for Celestia and apples, I believe. And of course, it's Fluttershy, so all it takes is the smallest thing to make her jump higher than Nora Mermaid when I say hi. Seriously, I just say, hey, Nora. Ah! But this is her guest, and while it looks cute, I think its introduction requires a little bit more drama.
I guess you were hungry.
Anyway, the Parasprite, as it will soon be known, doesn't really go for just one apple, although I'm thinking of trying to turn this into a meme. You put just isolate Fluttershy doing her little stomp, and then put, I don't know, the logo of someplace you don't like, the team, the Super Bowl team that lost. That'll tick off some folks. We'll see. Anyway, as we quickly find out, this little critter has an appetite, but it seems friendly enough, and of course Fluttershy, the animal expert, is going to bring an unknown piece of fauna into a new environment without considering all the ramifications. Because she's an animal lover, but not a good scientist. And in honor of my friend Sweetie Bloom, I must emphasize she's not very veterinary-minded, because a more scientific mind would realize this is a bad idea, especially as the thing chooses to nestle in her hair, which I admit, you kind of wish you were that Parasprite right now, don't you? It's okay. So do I.
I can't wait to show you to my friends.
You fool!
Gilbert Godfrey, I thank you. Meanwhile, Spike is trying to get the place set up alongside Twilight, cleaning up the Golden Oaks Library because, well, you gotta treasure it while it lasts. But more than that, there's a special occasion.
Princess Celestia will be here tomorrow.
I thought this was just an unofficial casual visit.
There's nothing casual about a visit from royalty. I'm a princess. You talk to me. That's different. You're not a princess.
It's funny how our words come back to haunt us. But yes, right away we know that it's a big to-do because Celestia is swinging through.
You know, know. This would be an awful lot easier if there weren't two of us here getting under each other's feet.
Great idea. You clean. I'll go see how everyone else's preparations are coming.
Spike, my boy, I'm sorry, but that manipulation check, it was a critical fail. But we do get to see... We get to see Twilight checking out the scene. We get to see Ponyville all decked out all special. We get to see a lot of background ponies getting ready, with Lyra, I think, doing the stretches. Or trying to organize every petal on a flower. Man, they are going hardcore. And as far as I can see, we don't have any clone ponies at the moment. We do, however, one of the earliest memes and weird interpretations of this fandom.
What happened to the rest of her name?
We couldn't fit it all in.
You can't hang a banner that says, "Welcome, Princess Celeste." Take it down and try again.
Yeah, that's a little harsh. I mean, it's true. You gotta try again. Don't misspell the queen's name. I know she's Princess Celestia, but she's really the queen. So, but then Twilight has some positives to say on Bonbon there, or sorry, Sweetie Drops. But all things are coming along until she goes to Sugar Cube Corner. And that sentence really should say it all. But the problem lies not with Mr. and Mrs. Cake, always good to see in an episode. No, it's as someone else.
It would be coming a little better if...
I feel like she's a parasite herself.
You know, she's got the hunger to match them. But the fact that she can chomp down at... How much biting force is at play here that she can not only eat the cake, but liquefy it in the process? And, okay, as frustrated as she can get sometime, by applause, who thinks this looks pretty dang cute? I would agree. But also, she has the biggest tongue in Equestria. There's a Pokemon off to the side going, "Look," and that's Pokemon for "I feel inadequate." Twilight is not feeling it, though.
And I, Pinkie Pie, declare that these treats are fit for a king, or a queen, or a princess.
So, yeah, this is the start. Okay, for a minute here, let's take ourselves out of the current mindset and think that this is our first introduction to Pinkie. Season 1, it's possible. And in this, what we first see is that she's undoing everyone else's hard work. And while folks are getting told off, do it again, she's actually subtracting. She's actively removing from their efforts. Not a great first impression, not necessarily great characterization. Adorable, but then if you think about it for 2 seconds, like some jerk on the internet, then you realize, Twilight's kind of right to look at Pinkie eyeing that cake and to give her... Actually, I believe she's checking to see if there's any strep throat. Because as you say, she's a little hoarse. But anyway, Fluttershy makes her grand return, and beholdeth. And it was at this point that Fluttershy became known as Khaleesi, mother of parasprites. She's got the 3. Of course, she hasn't walked through fire, and I'm glad for that. But anyway, we begin with the question of where did these things come from? And no, it's not when a mommy parasprite and a daddy parasprite love each other very much, because there was only one, a solo mio, patient 0. 1 is the loneliest number, and I don't think any parasprite has ever felt lonely. And admit it, you wish you were that parasprite right now. It's okay. We all do.
Ugh, a parasprite? Are you kidding? Ugh.
A pair of what?
Okay, I'd like you all to put special attention to this. They said, a pair of what? That was a question. It wasn't asking for clarification. What did they get instead? A lot of confusion. hitchhikers in both Maine and Tookus. And
Ugh, now I gotta go find a trombone.
A what?
now, oddly, Pinkie chooses to emphasize what a trombone does. But, or she's getting ready for the national spitting competition. But, all in all, she does not answer any of their questions. And I would like you to put it in your pocket and hold on for it for a little bit. Because now we go to Carousel Boutique, where, of course, Rarity is doing something. I don't know, that headpiece always wigs me out. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I did. Because I just don't get what she's trying to accomplish here. Like the fancy outfit for Rainbow, sure. But why Rainbow has to wear all these curly wig pieces, I'm not clear. I didn't have a chance to look through fashion history to see why. But Rainbow wants to fly. And I have to wonder, how many times has Rainbow been caught by the tail over the series? We know that... Too many. Well, we know Applejack does it most of the time, and if that wasn't the first hint towards their eventual couple status, well, it's funnier in hindsight, to be sure. But then here comes Twilight, and I also got to wonder about those bridles. It's like, that seems more like for Rarity's secret than something you'd wear to a formal occasion. But anyway. And now, apparently, once Rainbow realized that, she's like, I can't look! The horror! My eyes! But now they're wondering, what are these sounds coming from Twilight's mane? Or maybe they just really impressed by her cutie mark. For beholdeth, we once again have triplification. Feel free to start anytime.
Better question is, where did they come from? I only had one a minute ago.
So, clearly, when you don't understand, you take one. These things, I gotta say, these things are catching on like Tamagotchis, man. Okay, that was a very 90s reference. I appreciate all who laugh, because then I know I'm still older than you, but at least I can speak with the hip young vibe. I'm jiggy with it, yo.
How do you do, Phil kids?
Sup, my unpossed? Like you, I drink yogurt from a tube. But I would like to point out something special about this setup. Rainbow Dash, let's backtrack just a sec.
What's there to worry about?
Would later think, that lucky Parasprite, I'm gonna find it one day and eat it. I mean, sure, Rainbow gives the occasional nuzzle, but only when she thinks no one is looking. But we're the audience. We see everything. But it's just craziness. Anyway, Pinkie runs off again. That's going to be a common theme. In fact, you can pretty much end every scene with, and then Pinkie ran off. So here's Spike resting after taking a well-earned rest, having cleaned things top to bottom. Twilight is admiring the sparkles. Actually, I believe those are the same sparkle elements in Celestia's mane. So, wow, that's meta. Do you think she gets that like polished in the morning? There's just some weird giant hair buffer. She doesn't use hair conditioner, just wax. And look, that is kind of adorable. Even the Parasprite is having a good time.
What's there to worry about?
When you say something that's going to bring peril upon yourself, when you've just shot yourself in the foot verbally, there's a doom flag. Which are also at my vending table. You should really get one. And, well, take it in while it lasts, everybody. Let's just enjoy that look. That very special look. Now take it in. This was us this morning. It's the third day of a con. Everyone has this look. It's okay. Vicine is your friend. Now, if you woke up to something like this, I'm sorry, that's probably head lice. And you should shampoo Toot Sweet. But, yep, we finally get the central focus, and Twilight sadly is taking this lying down.
The little guy got hungry in the night, so I gave him a snack, but I have no idea where these others came from.
Did you feed him before midnight? But then there's the inevitable question, well, are we talking local time? I mean, Central Median. Gremlins 2 got very meta on us. And, well, not yet are they a menace, but they do seem to be interested in just undoing for the sake of undoing. Okay, I take it back. That one on the left just looks frickin' evil. No, there is clear malicious intent involved here. So, and you know what? I never noticed the sun and the moon banners directly angled over Twilight's bed. Y'all seeing that? So, man, she was kind of hypnotizing herself. Twilight's her own propaganda. But anyway, now also drink this in because Rainbow is going to get quite the renovation over the series. There are actually 2 versions of her house. Tanks for the Memories is probably your best bet to see this shift. Because, well, while we see your bedroom in Tanks for the Memories, this is the equivalent of Rainbow's pad. I realize the ponies are in charge of the weather, but what happens if a storm blows through? What happens if there's a slight miscommunication? That girl is exposed to the elements. You're going to catch a cold, Miss Dash. And you're going to become an octopus. I don't know if you got to attend our animations at G5 yesterday, but Minty talked about smear frames. Those brief flashes of impossibility that help add action to an animation. And it's actually pretty funny. If you do like a search for famous smear frames, you'll find some interesting stuff throughout history from just about every 2D show and maybe some 3D. You know, before the Humane 7 were a thing, that was like one of the best songs to come out of this show. And it was just from promo. Yes, my hat's off, quite literally, to whoever composed that song. Maddie, will you tip your hat in my place? I appreciate it. Thank you. And then there's Rarity, who I don't even know how she didn't just kill everything in sight after this.
Gross! No creature that behaves so revoltingly is allowed in my boutique!
Yep, I mean, that one's saying, hello world, she's saying goodbye everything. Because, my gosh, that would be terrifying. If my dog, we joke, I've had 3 golden retrievers over the course of my life, dearly beloved all of them. But when you took a brush and groomed them, got some fur off, you could make another dog. But I've never had anything spit up its offspring. I mean, even a cat's hairball should not get up and then start saying, Mama. Yeah, that image is in your brains now, ain't it? And of course, there's Pinkie coming to Rarity seeking help. And, well, she's celebrating that she got her an harmonica. An harmonica? That's not right. A harmonica. But Rarity's carrying a lot of baggage, literally.
Please, Pinkie, I don't have time for some silly scavenger hunt. I've got a real problem. You've got a real problem, all right. And a banjo is the only answer.
Banjo is the only answer. Honestly, if I ever got to see Pinkie in a version of dueling banjos, you know, then I would pay to see that. But as it is, she's just shouting randomness at her friends. And, well, oh, look, Twilight also has emotional baggage. That's right, I can cash in on someone else's work. Why not? And, well, when they go to see Fluttershy, it ain't much better. Fluttershy's house is also... Some of the indoor shots on this are really dark. I mean, you can notice a very strong shift in the lighting. And, well, Fluttershy's doing her best.
I've tried everything I know. I've tried begging and pleading and beseeching and asking politely and...
Oh, wow, she asked politely. I mean, that is hardcore. That's the nuclear option for Fluttershy. But she actually asks you to do something while seemingly stepping on her tail. That's pretty dang scary. But it ain't working. And Twilight has a small fantasy about the princess whose cutie mark she looks at every night. Wow, that sounds wrong now that I say it aloud. Oh well. Now, here's the thing. Once again, we should try to put ourselves in the seat of season 1 only. You don't know more episodes are coming. You don't know what Celestia is about most of the time. This is really funny because it seems absurd. Celestia, the defender of the realm, the most powerful pony in Equestria, could be brought low by parasprites. By season 9, this is the optimistic view. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, the Celestia losing became far too common. She got a W pushing back the Everfree Forest, I guess, but that turned into an L when she left the castle undefended against Sombra. So, poor Celestia. She really just needed a good rescue. I guess the end of Lesson 0 was a W as she undid Twilight's spell on the town. So that's a W, and we gotta take those where we can get them. But anyway, Twilight is now realizing how bad this is. This is pretty terrible. Thankfully, Applejack is coming by because when asking politely doesn't work, Fluttershy apparently submits and just orders more food for everybody. Remember, this is season 1 Fluttershy. She's got a ways to go. It's going to be a while before she meets the Breezies. But Twilight realizes, hey, Applejack's good at hurting things. Let's get these out of here. And so begins the great Parasprite Roundup, which usually is a turn of phrase, but in this case, yeah, they're having a ball.
Look out, Rarity! That one's fixing to get away!
Keep a lead on him, Rainbow Dash!
Hold on, girls! We're almost there!
Almost there, they wheel it off, but on the way, we get a surprise visit. And once again, we're talking smear frames. This will look way better as she's moving in a clip.
Ouch.
Wrong clip? It's funny how this thing gets around, but when they successfully get it out, when they get rid of the Parasprites, well, poor Fluttershy, she learns what it's like to be friends with Rainbow Dash, really. Except that they've known each other since they were kids in Cloudsdale. So, you know, continuity can be a cruel mistress. Well, Pinkie's a year older. Oh, wait, no. Fluttershy's a year older than Pinkie. Yeah. But then, okay, this is where it hurts to be a Fluttershy fan. Because she has a justification.
Where did they come from? Well, I may have kept just one.
I empathize with their anger more than anything. If not for Fluttershy's choice, that they would have had the Parasprites taken care of. Because Applejack did a really good roundup. And honestly, I think that was a mistake in terms of writing. The idea behind the Parasprites is that if even just one gets by you, that's it. You're dealing with the plague. That's why they're so hard to get rid of. If So having a parasprite that was under a log, caught in a tree stump, somehow escaped everyone's notice, there you go. It shows how bad this is. But what we're saying here is they would have succeeded if not for Fluttershy. And that undermines Pinkie's solution later on. Plus, actually, it's kind of funny. Right now, Fluttershy is the bane of existence in this one, or at least the font of misfortune. Remember in Philly Vanilli where Pinkie was the font of misfortune continually and driving Fluttershy to tears, compete with Big Mac to the point he lost his voice? She seemed to be the problem all the way through the episode. As a fan, I don't really enjoy those moments. One mistake is forgivable. Several is, wow, I'm gonna just put this over here and leave it on the shelf of my mind.
Way to go, Rainbow Dash!
Yes, it's Rainbow's turn at a solution as she blurs through them and starts rounding them up via tornado. So, if anyone ever declares Rainbow Dash sucks, it's like, well, yeah, she did a great job with all those parasprites. She's really awesome. That's right. I'm saying this in the most positive way, and I'm sure the Bronies React people will make fun of it later. Or not. But then Pinkie Pie happens. And well... Okay, endangerment of person. You know, it's funny that within a real tornado, even a blade of hay can punch through solid objects. If it's going at that velocity, it can be pretty lethal. So 2 symbols with apparently razor-sharp edges. We're lucky we still have a Rainbow Dash. Now, meanwhile, Fluttershy is just being thankful the heat is off her for this one. She didn't do this part wrong. And I will not have any Fluttershy did nothing wrong. I've got the evidence.
Me? Ruin? I'm not the ruiner. I am the ruinee. Or is it ruiness? Ruinette?
Come on, girls.
For the record, I checked. Ruinee refers to physical remains of a castle or other structure in the wake. So I don't know if ruinette or ruiness is an actual word. Webster's can handle that one for me. But basically, Pinkie is trying to communicate in her very Pinkie way, but well, I'm going to come back to that a little bit later, but keep holding on to those earlier comments. Because right now, Ponyville is in for it. Doom descends with wide-eyed, cutesy eyes. But it doesn't last very long. Honestly, I think Secret Agent Sweetie Drops understands the situation better than Lyra in this moment. And well, I'm not even sure who that is. I just know she's having a bad day. And Twilight realizes that cannibalism is the only means. No. Actually, I guess if he's switching to Predator, but no.
I'll cast a spell to make them stop eating all the food.
Now, way back when, I did a video on magical ethics. And the idea was that very often a magician who you think would have the power to reshape reality, that only brings misfortune. That very often the role is to work with the world. Twilight isn't thinking here. Because while she's going for the hasty solution of stop eating the food, these are living creatures. They still have to eat. Otherwise, she's just condemned them to starve to death. So what do? Well, at first they seem rather docile. But then, just as Pinkie makes her appearance, but everyone's still transfixed, they start eating everything but the food. And I read a fanfic a while ago, I wish I could remember the title, in which there were several what-if scenarios, including if instead of a taste for food, they developed a taste for ponies. This was a dark fanfic. But anyway, they're eating everything else besides the food. And, well, devouring whole sections of the city, town. And Rainbow, of course, has to rub some salt in the wound, because at this point, they're pretty darn frustrated. I will not call her a bully for this. I think I'd be pretty short and rather mean-spirited at that point. And here we are, coming up on one of my favorite moments in the entire blessed series. Because when, I guess those harnesses and, well, outfits from earlier, even the Parasprites, no, that's probably not what you wear to a social function, so we'll just take those off your hooves. They're doing her a service, really. But Rarity is feeling backed into a corner, which means... There is nothing I can add to that. This is just one of the best comedic moments I've seen on television. I wish, if nothing else, if anyone ever wondered, is My Little Pony really that fun? This scene alone will at least convey that, even if you have no context. But now I have to get all Jungian on y'all. It's the question of, what are these Parasprites supposed to represent? What's the symbol here? They're kind of a locust plague, but they're also, well, there might be biblical, they might be a reference to an old thing. I looked through and I couldn't find a whole lot. So forgive me if I exit the presentation for just a moment, because I want to show you a book that I read. Yes, I do actually read in the times before videos. It's usually how I get ready for said videos. This is the mythical Exodus in Jungian perspective. And you might think, oh, okay, no, I'm checking out. This is Silver-Quill trying to get all religioso. No, I will not. This is mostly a Jungian interpretation. And if you look for flies, according to this, there was a plague of flies rather than... flies represent the disruption of our healthy ambition. So, there's one interpretation. A disruption of healthy ambition. Twilight wants to get her to impress Celestia, to have her know that they're doing well, that the town is united. This is a frustration of that ambition. So that's one interpretation. But then, what about locusts? Couldn't find much Jungian analysis on locusts. I did, however, find out that in karma-based religions, in belief systems, they often say that it is that such a plague is, or swarm, is brought on by negative karma. And at first, I thought, well, that's blaming the victim, isn't it? Oh, something bad happened to you. You must have done something wrong. The problem is that's not what karma is. In fact, over here in the West, we've done a pretty poor job of interpreting it. Karma, here in America, when we say karma, people usually think, oh, you did something good, so something good will happen to you. You did something bad will happen to you. That is terribly reductive and misses half of it. Karma is a combination of memory, both within your mind, your body. There's even theories of a memory to the universe. So memory, intention, and action. It's everything you do. Thoughts you have, attitudes you carry going into an event, motivations behind actions. It's often true that we can mistake someone's selfishness or greed for altruism if they're trying to make a big show of it. So it's easy to misunderstand the intentions, but karma asserts that something registers in the universe on that. Now, consider what we saw at the beginning of this episode. Twilight's main motivation was that she wanted to impress Celestia. She was coming down pretty hard on ponies that were making a mistake. Rightly so, but maybe she could have approached that better. Her goal is to impress Celestia, not necessarily to uplift Ponyville. That would change over the course of the show, but right now she's still that very egocentric girl from Canterlot. She hasn't grown to that point yet. So one can argue negative karma. By the same way, the disunity that the ponies are showing in trying to handle this is a form of negative karma. Now, I'm not an expert, this is what I've read, but I believe karma also is not just, one for one. You reap what you sow. Many of these belief systems revolve around reincarnation. Karma may bite you in the next life, or, and I think this is the one to take away, karma may be affecting a person in a non-visible way. One of the hardest things, especially on the internet, on the news, let's all be honest, we've all had a politician we can't stand. We would love for that person, whoever they are, no matter what political system, to get their comeuppance. There's two problems with that. One, they may be struggling and you will never see it, so there's no point. But also, sitting back and waiting for something bad to happen to someone, isn't that a negative karma of your own? It's a desire to see someone else suffer, even if you feel it's justified. The best thing is you don't have to burden yourself with negative karma. That person's got their own problems, their issues. Sometimes the best revenge is living a happy life and leaving them in the fog of memory, if that. So I'm just saying, how we approach life it's more important to ask, what am I bringing to life than what has life done to me? And that sounds easy, but it can be very difficult. But, the apples are looking to bring some difficulty, and Applejack ain't playing, because I think this is the first sign of equestrian poison. I mean, it's just bug spray, but I don't think we'll see another negative concoction until a love poison for Big Mac.
You didn't see that coming?
Didn't see that one coming.
Raise this barn, 1, 2, 3, 4. Together they raised that barn, 1, 2, 3 million. So, and meanwhile, Twilight is apparently trying to get down Spoiled Milk's nose before she's even introduced. Does that kind of look like it? It's freaking me out. Twilight looks like Spoiled Milk in this picture. I will never be the same. But now, okay, there's a lot of questions in this. And it is the mind of a reviewer that seeks out the important answers, like, where did he get such tiny utensils? And the bib. And is equestrian text so solidified that it can actually be slurped up like spaghetti? And I've come to a deep insight on this, a realization that may rock the entire community. No one cares. So here we are, they're eating Twilight out of house and home before Tira comes along. And yes, I've been harping on that a bit. I think this is opening up some old wounds. So Twilight is, one, I guess I should also question the strength of those Parasprite wings. When you think about it, they've been lifting objects that are like 10 times their weight, if not more. Those wings have got to be heck powerful. Oh, if we could study those, you could make wings for every pony. And so let's ambush Sakura in the middle of a very unique meditation. It was also one of the few times I heard Sakura genuinely angry. Have you gone mad? But really, she recognizes what this is. I said, this is.
Tales of crops and harvests consumed. If these creatures are in Ponyville, you're doomed.
I think Sakura signed up with an HMO. Because that is the most unhelpful diagnosis. She probably had like a list of other participants. And here comes Celestia to act out Twilight's bizarre dream. But, yeah, things are going weird. And honestly, I feel like this is our first moment of true Twilynnanas. Our first indication of when things go really south, at some point, Twilight will break. And well, okay, now let's look at our genuine Parasprite emotions. We've got curiosity, 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 vengeful determination, and all-consuming glee. Oh, and there's a hungry one in the middle. Somehow I missed that. But my gosh. So, Twilight looks at the situation and comes to the only logical conclusion when you've left logic at the door. Good. Oh, man. Man, my clips are not working with me today. Oh, well. Let's just see if I can find that in my folder 4, because I really like that. I worked hard on it, dang it. But sometimes the darn thing just doesn't want to work with you.
Okay, here's the plan. Rainbow Dash, you distract them. Good! Everyone else, we need to build an exact copy of Ponyville right over there. We've got less than a minute!
It's a fake! We've been suckered in!
That's right. Neither disorganization or insanity shall keep me from a Mel Brooks reference. But here comes Pinkie, coming in as a one-pony band, driving all this, and, well, confusing Twilight. So, in other words, it's a day ending in Y, which is also what Twilight's sentence ends with. Why? But it works because Pinkie's Pied Piper in these critters. All the way, and you know, I can't help but think, again, we're kind of getting early hints at that Applejack Rainbow relationship. Because, you know, I'm sure I let my friends rest on my tuchus in the midst of a crisis. Sure, why not? But here comes Celestia, and I'm impressed by this. Celestia is standing as they're about to make a landing. Now, okay, attention please, on the flight, we are about to begin landing. If any of you would like to look like a badass, please stand up now. Right, you don't do that! Princess Celestia and Darth Vader are the only two fictional characters I know who would stand in a moving vehicle just to prove how awesome they can be. So there's your Vader Celestia reference. And, well, it's all, hello, princess. How you doing? I said, how you doing?
So, how was the trip? Hit much traffic?
Now, let's do another comparison here. How is Princess Celestia like Justice League? The most awesome moment comes down to simply turning an eye. You remember the James Gunn Flash is running towards Superman and he just moves his eye to catch up? You're like, oh. I didn't have time for that clip. Too bad. But I love that look on Celestia. She just sees the procession going by. Eyes after eyes after eyes. And Twilight is happy to think that it's just all part of the plan, the procession. And Celestia's apologetic because, well, apparently there's an infestation in Philadelphia. And so she's got to go. Yes, I believe that's called being in Philadelphia. Sorry, Philadelphia. I do the same for Jersey. But anyway, while they're doing this, Twilight gets to have a moment to give an in-person friendship report. A live report, if you will. After everything has happened. You might call it a after-the-fact live. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you patronizing me. So what's Twilight's lesson? Well, she looks to Pinkie Pie to realize something. And looks adorable while delivering it. I mean, okay, this is helping me get over that spoiled rich snout earlier.
Actually, I have. I've learned that sometimes the solution to your problems can come from where you least expect it. It's a good idea to stop and listen to your friends' opinions and perspectives.
Even if those don't always make sense. But here's the thing. Here's where I ask you to unpack what I asked you to hold on earlier. To start off, Pinkie's first sentence was, "Ew, a parasprite." And Twilight says, "A para what?" There's an opportunity to explain what they are. Pinkie dismisses it. She says, "You need this instrument." And Twilight's like, "A what?" "A trombone." Well, there's another opportunity to say, "Why do you need this?" And throughout, we've seen that both Applejack and Rainbow Dash, if not for the sabotage of Fluttershy and Pinkie, would have been able to expel this threat. So I feel like it's a good message. But there are moments in the story that needed a little bit more fine-tuning to really reinforce that theme. Either the girls are too busy to really hear Pinkie, and if they're leaving Carousel Boutique, and Pinkie's trying to say, "They're parasprites, door slants." Okay, you've just blocked off communication with her. But as it is, Pinkie, for her quirkiness, did not communicate effectively. And really, it does take two people to have a miscommunication. I'd argue that the negative karma approach is a better viewpoint for this episode. The message is good, but it needed a little bit more work. But talking about how you act and how you handle a crisis. Do you bring positivity or negativity? Are you bringing forth your best self or your angriest self? And no, I will not believe that anger is a person's best self. That I think is an interesting lesson to take away that might have been not as intended, but the reason I like Jungian studies and looking for other philosophies is that they find expression even when we're not looking. In other words, from an unlikely source. See what I did there? No. So, but don't get me wrong, I think this is fun. This is just enjoyable. Celestia wishes them well as she goes off to handle the Philadelphia crisis, and Pinkie's willing to follow along, but they think Celestia has it. She got it in hoof, and again, this is season 1, so we're not thinking any different at that time. Nowadays, yeah, where's Luna?
Why do you think I was so frantic to get my hooves on all these instruments? I tried to tell you.
We know, Pinkie Pie, and we're sorry we didn't listen.
So again, this is where I'm more harsh on what is still a fun and enjoyable episode, but we just need a little tweak to some scenes. And I think the show got better with that tweakage, even though sometimes it felt like, well, people are holding the idiot stick.
Or not.
Okay, real quick. Who was at Trivia Trot on it was Friday, wasn't it? Time loses all meaning to me during these events. Okay, this was the frame from Guess That Frame. This was our challenge of knowledge. I am pointing to the specific exact frame from that challenge. Nobody got it. Nobody. Oh, wait, no, actually, I've got it wrong. That was from the end of Magic Duel. So, wow, Pinkie winds up in pure darkness more than I thought. Oh, wow, I'm going to have to reflect on that. Anyway, well, now that I've just shown how bad I can track certain things, especially the process of time, but, it's funny. So, overall thoughts from me. Really fun episode. Fascinating creatures, these parasprites. The one thing I wondered while working on this presentation, and this is again getting very technical, looking pretty deep into a kid's show. I freely admit that. But usually this is a good thing for world building. If something replicates in those numbers, there has to be a natural predator out there. Something that is keeping the population in check. We never found out what. I've always suspected griffins could lend their services by eating parasprites. They are birds. Birds can eat bugs. I'm not very good at biology, but I think I've got a solid argument. Yes, the engineer.
What about a rock?
Well, I mean, that's that or a hard place would work, but actually, you've unfortunately given me an opening. We'll work on this. They actually mispronounced that in the show. It's called a roch. You got to add more phlegm. Because, that's the pronunciation. But yeah, Honestly, a rook is too big. It would need to consume, well, actually, I should take that back. Whales consist on krill. So yeah, that is a possibility. A giant bird, or, which was in the Everfree Forest. Engineer, I think you cracked the case. They're in that bit. There we go. Well, as long as those practical solutions aren't pointed at me.
The only counter thing would be like Ashley Gorge if they fly through there, the eels in the walls, because how do the eels eat?
That's an interesting argument. I don't know. I don't know where Ghastly Gorge is in relation to the Everfree Forest, because the Parasprite, the original, Patient Zero, came from the Everfree Forest. The Rook came from the Everfree Forest. So that makes it pretty easy to put the two and two, but something like the quarry eels, which could only snatch something airborne, it feels like, or something wandering through ground level. So that might be. Parasprites unintentionally evolved to feed the larger beasts. And then we get to whales and krill in the ocean. So this is where the fun of letting your mind go. And this is the fun of writing. Sure, I'm freely admitting looking very deep into a kid's cartoon. But there's also that creative spark of asking questions. Why does this behave this way? Well, it needs this. Well, why does it need this? Well, then there must be an outside force that requires that action. You start with a highly reproductive organism. Why does it have to reproduce? It has predator. What is that predator? Well, it could be this, it could be that. Oh, wait, this makes sense. This isn't just headcanons and trying to come up with fan theories. This is training your mind to be creative in world building. And that's why I don't want to discourage people from headcanons, from world building. There's a point where you're like, hang on, I feel like you're forcing, when in reality, it actually kind of flows. When you understand the world, it begins to flow and make sense in an almost architectural structure. And that's part of the fun. But also, that's why reading up a little bit on science, understanding just a few basic things, like one of the largest animals on our planet subsists on some of the smallest creatures. Even though it has nothing to do with birds, there's a justification, a thought. Write what you know, and if you don't know something, there's a lot of ways to figure things out. So welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you for coming. We've got just about 5 minutes. So, I see a hand up. I'd love to hear thoughts. Carnivorous plants. I only remember the plunder vines as being somewhat carnivorous. But in the Everfree Forest, I would not be surprised. I'd scream and run away, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yes?
Do you watch the channel Curious Archive? I think it's all about fictional biology and everything.
The channel Curious Archive. I haven't heard of it. But he talks about fictional biology?
Yes.
Okay, then I've got something to watch on the plane ride home. In the back. Yes, yourself?
Well, it's not technically a question, but the infestation problem in Philadelphia, well, it kind of got resolved like 7 seasons later, which is something to think about. Like, in an episode, Pinkie and wrote a stream newspaper that it got resolved after like 7 seasons.
Oh, yeah. Man, an infestation. That would be interesting. The Philadelphia infestation. Sorry.
Well, remember, season 1 to 4, a year.
You know, I made that argument. I appreciate we're of a mind here. The thing is, seasons aren't time flow in the show is not necessarily the same time flow as we have. So the timeline is very curious. I assert that seasons 1 through 4, or at least the start of season 4, are 1 year because of the Summer Sun celebration. But that's as certain as I can be. And we also have to ask, are these episodes airing in order? I mean, Twilight being an alicorn is sure a very hard divider, but I'm not always sure about other things. In fact, it'd be funny to think, what if you switch this? Would the continuity make more sense? Yes?
Possible continuity arc
Oh yes, this. I remember this on a video by Chad Rocco. Lived for 1,000 years, can't identify a parasprite. They're
Everfree forest.
yeah. Well, she knows the Everfree forest, but not, she lived in it. But not the creatures. One, it is possible that she was kept safe from all the more dangerous or intrusive creatures while in this castle of two sisters. But this could be an act. She could know and is trying to spare Twilight's feelings. So it's funny that in Horseplay, Celestia seems like a really bad actor, but I think it's that line, Equestria needs you. When she needs to put on a mask or an appearance, even feigning ignorance, she does it really well because it's for Equestria. Trying to do it for a play is not as vital.
I think it is, there's nothing particularly wrong with, looking deep into a kid's show, is because a lot of us actually really enjoyed MLP Friendship and Magic is because we noticed it had this, this standard of consistency, and I think a lot of other kids shows should do that, because a lot of the best kids shows that exist don't talk down to their audience. They acknowledge that they have a working brain, but I think that what gets us with episodes like this is the breaking consistencies that we look at certain characters and go, why are you acting like this?
Just to make sure the recording understands that the argument from my friend Chris the Scott is that basically shows these days have greater respect for a kid's awareness and ability to track because they can understand a character isn't acting quite normal. Why do I celebrate continuity? Because in the 1980s, every show reset to zero. The status quo, it was designed to be episodic so that you could jump on at pretty much any point in the series. But nowadays we have a more serialized approach which respects kids' ability to remember and pay attention. And I think the storytelling is stronger for that. I agree with you. And I'm afraid this will have to be our last thought or question.
Years ago, and I forget where I found it, but you talked about continuity, at least in the early seasons. I believe that people have found out that if you look at the stars in the moon and you track everything through the episodes, there's actually a site where you can track that actually does say, yes, if you track this, these episodes, at least some of them where you find these things did happen in this order.
Is it the same order of airing?
I think there may have been one or two where they're like, well, this was out of order, but if you kind of look at some of the info, maybe these two episodes got switched around for production reasons, so maybe these weren't. I know something like that. If you look into that, you might get a little more information on at least the early continuity, which I think is interesting looking at.
I'm impressed. I wonder if these folks who, again, for the video, I'll just repeat what you said, that some folks on YouTube? Oh,
I have to be honest, I forget where I found
it may have been a blog post or similar comments, but folks tracked the arc of the stars across episodes and found that there was a continuity of movement that wasn't necessarily reflective of the order of airing in one or two cases. So that leaves room for questions. But there is, strangely, a consistency to this world, which may be Lauren Faust. It may be us, learning more about astrology in the process. So either way, it's a pretty fun idea. So thank you for sharing that. And everyone, I have to get to the charity auction where I will try to drum up some moolah for a good cause. And so thank you for coming to my panel. I hope you had a great HarmonyCon 2025 that we've still got a lot of fun to enjoy.